Yes, it is.
That's what they did.
Hot sauce.
I can hear her. Yeah.
He got
I'm not sure what it is. By the time it's over with, I think it made 62. So it probably made. I'll make it that lower section of terraces. Oh, that lower section. Some of it was, the stuff that everybody was blind. That stuff different. But the people who tried to cut last fall, and straighten it because they were scared, that didn't really cut last fall. But the stuff that people take, don't do that. It's just too dry. I had several fields that I had. And Kelly's Valley, finally Kelly's seen power. So that'll really, yeah.
We did make more copies.
I think Tyler,
One that says draft on it.
where's that? He's, yeah, air conditioning, seats. Now we got that. I talked to him about power. You gonna throw it in? Hey, you jumped up, you got the other
You're welcome. I got one more copy. I'll give this to here. I'll give you that copy. Is that what it
No, we didn't get to all we have is
He was, but he never did. That I know. That I know of. They're Danny's right there.
Lord God.
I always had to remember I have my
Yeah, the new graphic. Yeah, but there's another one well, that's what everybody kept finding problems.
Anybody contact the fire marshal?
There may have been a mob.
You got one.
I can move all the way.
You got it. I didn't know that.
We'll call the Hickman County Planning Commission July meeting to order. If we could have a roll call, please, Brooke.
Will Mayberry,
Here.
Jeff Church,
Here.
Tony Taylor,
Here.
Tommy Caps,
Here.
Danny Clark,
Here.
Eddie Boone,
Present.
Bill Lane,
Here.
Jason Carter,
Here.
Claude Calcott,
Here.
Keith Nash,
Here.
and Andy Bax.
Here. All right, we have quorum. You had in an email, and you also had in front of you, the minutes from the June 3rd meeting. Need a motion to approve. Second. Motion by Clark, second by Boone. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item is the approval of the agenda. Nash,
I'd like to make a motion that we move the public comment period to after old business and before new business. That way, some of these folks, I'm sure, are here to talk about the land use plan, and they can have an opportunity to hear what Gresham has to say, and that may give them some more questions or clarify some questions they may be asking.
motion to amend, second by Clark. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So you have an amended agenda in front of you. I need a motion to approve. Second. Nash. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have an agenda. All right, so, the next item is old business, which is discussion of the land use transportation plan. We have Grisham Smith here tonight to go through the rough draft, first, second draft, whatever this is, this version of it. And so they got some boards they're gonna talk through. I know there has been a lot of discussion, and I'm glad for that, and I'd like to see a lot of people involved in setting the vision and the plan for the county going forward. I'm sure they're gonna talk about this, but the state requires counties to do this every 20 years and then update it along the way. And that's what kind of started all this. There has been a little bit of confusion. I'll speak to this, and I'm sure they will speak to it as well. The land use plan, which I don't have a copy, but it's that one right there. It sets that's the appendix. It's that one right there, but it's fine. What the land use plan, the design of it is to kind of set the vision for the county going forward. Take stock about where we are infrastructure wise, and where we want to see things go. It is not a policy document, it is not the law. It just sets the vision. This book that I have, mine's in this green folder, and it's the zoning resolution of Hickman County. This is the law. This is what sets, governs what this planning commission does. It governs all zoning changes. It governs it has our subdivision regulations in it. It has setbacks for R1. All those things are in this book, and this book is the law. And so we're not discussing this book tonight. The thought is we establish a future land use plan, and that discussion leads into whether or not we need to change this book. So there's not going to be a vote on the ordinances, the law of the zoning regulation tonight or anytime in the near future. Well, there is a change of that has to do with the BZA, but as far as any type of agriculture zoning change, residential zoning change, that comes out of this book here, okay? Because the future land use plan is not the governing document. What it is it sets the vision for where we want to go to as a county. And I've had a few phone calls and different things, and I just wanted to kind of clear that up. But I guess Drew, this is Drew Gaskins, Gresham Smith. We'll go through, and do you want the planning commission to kind of ask questions along the way, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can have a discussion, and then I can't wait to hear what folks have to say once we conclude that.
Perfect.
All right, well, forgive me, everyone, my visual aids might be a little bit difficult to see, but while I'm getting those set up, like Claude said, my name is Drew Gaskins with Gresham Smith. We're an architecture and engineering services firm headquartered in Nashville. And I'm joined by Mary Connolly and Ian Preston. Also from our Nashville office, we were approached by the Planning Commission early last year to assist them in the development of a future land use plan, and worked up a contract with them to do that. And that's when we started the process of getting this updated. As Claude said, the county does have a previously adopted growth plan that was back from the, I don't even know what you call this decade, the 2000s. But it's getting a little stale. And as he noted, the growth plans really have useful lifespans of about 20 years. So it's around the time to start revisiting that. And ultimately, if the Planning Commission and County Commission decide to adopt this document, that would replace that growth plan, as Claude said, the vision document that would be used in rezoning decisions and the like. But real quick, I do want to just kind of go through some of the high points, and if it's okay with y'all, I'm gonna have this facing them. So I do want to go through just, I hope everybody's had a chance to read the document, and I hope that if you have questions about it, that you express this tonight. But just to go through, what we started with early on were discussions with the Planning Commission. We also had an initial round of public workshops that I hope some of you were able to attend. During that time, we got some ideas, really very high-level discussions, so we weren't really talking about land use at that point. It was more trying to get a better understanding of what preferences were in the county. And we used those discussions to come up with a set of guiding principles and goals for the future land use plan, and I know you probably can't read all this, but the guiding principles are protection of natural resources, maintain sense of community character, viable agriculture, expansion of infrastructure, rural preservation, increased housing options, and economic development. Those were translated into goals. One is to preserve the natural assets here in Hickman County, maintain agriculture as the dominant land use, develop some more housing options that residents can avail themselves to, expand utilities as needed to accommodate that, maintain a rural sense of place, accommodate growth through a conservation approach, increase tourism, high-paying jobs and sales tax revenue, and expand community conveniences like grocery, hardware store availability, and the like. What you may notice from some of these goals and guiding principles is, in some sense, some of them are pulling against each other a little bit. And I'll talk more about kind of how we talked about that in the second round here in just a second. But you know, we take all of these into account through the plan development process, but we did find that the community expressed a preference that some be a higher priority than others. And so to that end, in the second round of public engagement, where we did actually start talking land use and did have some scenarios for folks to look at, we started asking about these priorities. So we had 3 different scenarios. One was a trend scenario, which was essentially an extrapolation of current trends. We had a compact one that was more compact and preservation focused. Then we had a growth scenario where the growth kind of expanded outside of the trend a little bit more. What we found in talking to folks was that a majority of people indicated that the compact scenario was preferred. So we had about 80% said they liked it, as opposed to about 60%, we had about 80% that said they liked it and 60% that said they liked the other one. So it was the most preferred scenario. It's not a you know, paint by numbers or pick this exercise. It's really trying to tease out trade-offs. The way that the priorities were ranked reinforced this. So I said that some of those are pulling on each other. Protection of natural resources, rural preservation, viable agriculture, maintaining sense of community and character, ranked a little bit higher. Economic development, expansion of infrastructure, expansion of community services, and increased housing options ranked a little bit lower in terms of what should be the top priority. And here on the board, we've just got some of the comments. This just reinforces some of the conversations that we had with individuals that reinforced, again, the people that we spoke with, generally moving towards a more conservation-focused preference. We also had an online tool, and we had about 435 responses on the tool. So that was the feedback that we got when we presented the scenarios. So coming out of round 2, we had the scenarios, and I mentioned it's not, you know, pick A, B, or C, but we tried to take the components of each that people indicated that they preferred and did our best at coming up with an initial draft of the preferred land use plan. So this preferred land use plan, again, it is draft at this point, as Claude said, but this depicts a Hickman County that is a rural and agricultural community going forward. Most of the growth is envisioned to be where there are utilities. So when you're going from Centerville up into the northeast part of the county, that's where very limited sewer is available currently. That's where a lot of the potable water is available currently. Outside of that, any development at scale, so any development other than just a house here or there, becomes, I don't want to say difficult, but not necessarily feasible from a real estate development perspective. So again, we've got here in the, you know, sort of the outer ring, furthest away from the metro area, the agricultural preservation place type as currently proposed. That is 1 unit per 5 acres. That goes kind of transects into our rural places. That's where that density gets down to 1 unit per acre. And then as you get into residential growth in some of these areas along the corridor, you have preferred densities in terms of residential of 1 acre or maybe a half acre. We also have community commercial, so commercial development located along the major commercial corridors that exist now, reinforcing that. We've got a couple of industrial growth areas identified, a few conservation areas based on really existing land use. And then throughout the rural part of the county, we also have these rural crossroads place types. And so this is where you could have a little bit, maybe a little bit higher density residential development at a very small scale, as well as, you know, a crossroads grocery store, a gas station, or something like that. So again, currently, we've got, really going from southwest to northeast, this transect of much lower densities going up to relatively higher densities, but still not terribly high. So a couple of other thoughts about this is that this is not, looking out 20 years, well, this is what Hickman County is gonna look like in 20 years. It might, but a lot of it is gonna be based on market forces, and on any type of growth pressure coming out of Nashville. None of us have a crystal ball, so what we're trying to do is just make sure that as development comes in, the Planning Commission has tools available to make those decisions, make those rezoning decisions, and improve those types of developments. Finally, this is kind of the last, what I'll close with here, and forgive me sifting around on my words. The land use map is not the land use plan. It is a component of the land use plan. So again, if you've had a chance to read it, I mentioned the guiding principles and goals. That's in there. We have our draft place types. So again, those aren't zoning districts. Those are just examples of places, examples of development types. But ultimately, those downstream would guide the decision-making process. We have the future land use plan itself that we just talked about, and then in terms of supporting implementation-focused items, we do have some policy recommendations and implementation guidance, and in a couple of places we just have some notes for things that the Planning Commission and the county in general with other partners might consider. If you've read through the plan, you probably saw that we had a zoning crosswalk and some it's not really model language, more recommendations for zoning changes that might be appropriate in the future. Like Claude said, those are just suggestions by us. If we do have any edits to the place types or the land use plan, those subsequent recommendations would change as well. But nothing would change based on what we put in there if and when the county commission decides to adopt the plan. In terms of next steps, again, we're looking forward to comments and questions that you all may have. Really looking forward to hear the public comment, get an understanding of what you all think about this. And then we will be working closely with the Planning Commission probably over the next month or so to conduct a round of edits. As Claude said, I think it is technically the second draft. We've had some extremely minor comments, just internal that have come in so far, but no major update based on community comments. So that's why we're here tonight. That's why our team is here to listen, and we look forward to hear what you have to say. And any questions that you all may have.
All right, Planning Commission. And I understand that this is, you probably need time to digest all the things, but I'm sure after reading at least the first draft, there's got to be some things that need to be brought up and discussed before we get to the public comment period. So, Mr. Nash.
Drew, how does the planned growth area get defined, and how is it integrated into the land use plan?
So that was one of the comments that we had that we need to pick up in the land use plan. Basically, the way that we are conceptualizing it is essentially when you get into that rural growth area, kind of along Highway 100 that goes up towards Bon Aqua, that's where we would essentially say that's where the planned growth area is. We do need to put a polygon around that and call that out in the plan and add a little bit of text just explaining that. But essentially the rectangular polygon that you had up there before would now expand to encompass that area where you could start having development at scale at those densities of about 1 acre or less.
So when would you anticipate that portion of that being incorporated into the plan?
Next round of edits.
I had one thing, the recommendations as far as the acre size and all that.
Yes.
Talk about how you came up with those.
Sure. So the agricultural preservation 1 acre or 1 unit per 5 acres is a somewhat common one that's used when agricultural preservation of land is a high priority. Hey, great, you don't have to look far for an example of that, just next door in Williamson County. That is the preference that they expressed outside of their growth areas, you know, the UGBs and some of the town hamlets that they had. Obviously, Williamson County is very different than Hickman County in that it's not really a pure rural county. It has a lot of suburban development, and there's a lot more housing pressure there currently than there is here. But we went with that initial recommendation, again, just based on some of the conversations that we had and based on the prevailing preference for agricultural preservation in areas as you get further away from those growth areas. And again, what we've got in here currently is a little scaled back from that compact scenario that we mentioned that, you know, at least the people that came to the meeting and the 400 plus people that engaged with us online preferred. The other densities, Claude, you know, the transit densities as you go into rural places and some of those in-town development types, those are just common transect values. The one that there probably is a little bit of potential variation to is the 1 unit per 5 acres.
So on the agriculture, the A1, which is going to be the farm, the agriculture, the timber, a lot of it, it's roughly somewhere around 88% of the county. So that's what you're saying is pretty much 88% of the county we're going to put down that 5 acre per house per dwelling is what we're trying to do.
As currently proposed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's one of the biggest issues that we're running into with this, that I'm pretty sure that's probably why a lot of people are here tonight.
Sure.
Because of that. I mean, speaking on my end, and I don't know, I may be speaking out of turn by saying it, I just wonder if we can drop that down. That may be something that, you know, drop that 5 acres down some to a different lower acreage, or.
So quick reaction to that, and then I guess functionally what we would do there. So the prevailing density in like an FAR or a agricultural type thing is anywhere from 2 to 12 units per acre. So it's a pretty wide, and that's not in terms of the permitted density, just what you generally see in rural places like that. So, you know, you could certainly come down from 5 acres and still be well within what everybody would consider to be an FAR forestry agricultural residential density. In terms of moving that value, we are happy to have conversations with you all about it, and ultimately we're working for you. So if that is, you know, if that's an area where maybe when we were drafting recommendations we missed the mark, that's why we're here tonight, is that we're open to considerations. And
That's something that I think that the public here and maybe even myself, some more explanation on that, because I think it's kind of getting misinterpreted that this is what's fixing to happen and this, you know what I'm saying? So that is just the one thing that is the big comment I think it's gonna be, that people are going to want to talk about tonight.
sure, and on the other side of that, you know, I just to yes and your point. You know, I mentioned that development at scale is likely only going to happen where you have the utility coverage. So where you have the potable water, where you have the sewer. As you get away from that and into, say, the southwest part of the county, development's probably going to be onesie-twosie, one-off. You know, family builds a house here. So if we were to modify that density and make it a little bit lower, or make the acreage cap a little bit lower, I don't think it would have a long-term adverse impact to that overall goal of agricultural preservation.
Yeah, I mean, your infrastructure is going to determine a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you don't have it, you don't have it.
Yeah.
And people that's buying the property need to know that before they buy it. So.
So, Drew, on the maps that I have seen, there have been, you know, the city limits of Centerville have been defined, as well as the urban growth boundary.
Correct.
In relationship to the city. Those that you have depicted in the plan and all the data that you have, is that based on a previous document, or is that any of that some updated information that has been more recently acquired from the city of Centerville?
So so we've got the urban growth boundary up here. This is, this was drafted as part of our fact-finding process and development process. You know, there does need to be obviously, some coordination with the city, in terms of, is this, you know, close to what, the city of Centerville would look at down the line. Another option is, you know, if they're not if the city's not comfortable with that, we could also just remove those recommendations from the map.
So those particular ones are ones that you guys backed out of based on your analysis of the area. It's not something that they have defined and or approved from the city.
That's correct, that's correct. So the only thing that was defined previously was that growth area.
That urban growth boundary, which I've learned these are different words, that is what you would recommend to Centerville, but it has not been something that has come up from them yet.
Correct.
And I guess to follow up on that, if they had provided, and when they do provide something, it's just gonna get stuck on that overlay, and that's just the way it is. That's where it is.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Other discussion from the planning commission? I appreciate, I mean, y'all done a good job, and I know it's not finished yet, and I appreciate y'all making the trip and all that. Y'all been really good to work with so far, so see how next month goes. It's now's the time, guys. Y'all got them in front of you, and so is anything else you want to ask or go through? Oh, and I appreciate compiling the data and all that, and I appreciate giving the suggestion. I know that's what has caused a lot of the stir in our community, and I mean, and it's we'll decide after we get past this hurdle on what we want to do with those. I mean, we may not do anything. So, but I appreciate that. Last call. All right. And I'll do this after hearing that. Tell you what, we'll take about a 7-minute break to 7:10. If there's anybody else that wants to sign up now, I want to give you all that opportunity. Do that in the next, well, we'll start back at 10 after 7, and then we'll go through the public comment period. So we'll take a quick little recess break.
Sorry.
process I've followed is collect data from your departments. Sure why. We're doing it. I get out of you, right? And we get money. I thought it was early for you. Usually you're coming here from work.
Well, he got out. Well, let me tell you something. I'm 63 years old, and I went to college, and there's a lot of people saying I'm going to I think that's me. And I think a lot of that every day. There's 17 of them. Where this works? Well, right now,
they only go by has it been approved. And the FDA wait for a government it's suspected. They pull out. So here we wait until
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, when you every day that goes by, I'll get it. Stop it. They're efficient process.
Call us back into order. We're going to begin the public comment period, and I know there's several people here, and there'll be some out in the hall, and just make sure that it stays quiet enough for everybody to hear. And there's 16 names that have signed up, and if it's a question or something that gets answered by somebody previous, and you don't want to speak anymore, it's fine, just let me know when I call your name. Probably gonna do 4 to 5 minutes. I'll kind of give you a heads up when you got about 30 seconds left. You don't have to speak the full time, but we are, and I ask everybody to be respectful and when somebody's talking, and be respectful to others. Let me get my timer here. And so, and when you come, the way we have to do public comment is when you come up, you just stand right there at the banister, and then just speak to me and the planning commission. That's who's here to hear the public comments. And so make sure you speak up so everybody can hear. First name on the list is Patrick Miller.
Thank you. Thank you guys for, I know that most of the planning commission is volunteers, so I appreciate you guys working on this. Although I gotta say, I find it kind of a little disturbing how much growth is showing on that map. And I know you might say it's not a lot, but when I look at that map, anything that's light green, light yellow, dark yellow is something that I see is higher density than where I wanna live. Hickman County is a rural county, and this is a roadmap of where we want to go. And this roadmap says we want urban sprawl, and I don't want to live in a spot where there's urban sprawl. Most of the roads that we have don't meet the state standards. The road that I live on, it's not wide enough for 2 cars. you literally have to, when you pass somebody, you have to drive off the shoulder of the road. And we're talking about having growth, a lot of this is residential growth. Well, we don't have the infrastructure to do that. Not only don't we have the infrastructure in terms of roads, I don't think we really have the infrastructure in terms of water and just the ability to plan for that. Staying with the roads, right now we don't have, like on Highway 100 is the main thoroughfare from Centerville up to the county, and there's no turn lane on that road. There's no right turn lane, so there's no center turn lane, there's no right turn lane. So at times of the day, it's almost impossible to pull out onto that road. You have to sit there for several minutes to actually try to get out onto it. And we're inviting more growth with a large section of residential growth, which is what that's for. Now, I understand that that's not zoning or anything, but that's the roadmap that we're saying that we want to actually follow. I sent to the county commissioners a letter on Sunday, kind of going over some of the points that I had issue with this map. And what I would like to see on this is a lot less growth. We've only had 30 or 3% growth over the last decade, and yet this map shows, hey, we want to have a lot more growth. And I don't think Hickman County is really the spot to have that growth, especially the urban sprawl that we've seen down in places like Spring Hill, that they've had over in Mount Juliet or down in Murfreesboro, where it's just, you don't want to drive in those areas because you just can't get anywhere very fast. And once we go back, or once we allow lots to be divided, once you go to a third acre of a lot, or a half acre of a lot, or a 1 acre lot, you're never going to get more land. You're never going to make that lot bigger. So I think this map needs to be more preservative and have more 5 acre lot restrictions. So all light green there, most of that light yellow should actually be agricultural preservation, allowing for 5 acre lots. Because once you divide it down into 1 acre or half acre lots, you're never going to get that land back. You can never go back and undevelop that land. It never happens. It's never happened anywhere. So I don't want to see Hickman County have this much urban sprawl, which is what we're looking at on this map. So that's, like I said, I sent to the commissioners, and if you guys want to share with these guys what I sent you, send them that letter, that'd be absolutely fine. But I'm kind of very upset with how much urban sprawl is planned on a map. The other question I wanted to ask you is, that green folder that you have,
Yeah.
is that on the website?
We're supposed to not give it back and forth, but, yes, it's on the website.
It is, okay.
And it updates, I mean, there's minor changes that are made to it as we see it, and yes, but it's on the county website.
Okay.
And I'll say this, we'll get the latest draft of the future land use plan on the website as well. And as we make edits to that, we'll put the new one on there.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm sure there's more edits to come. So,
That's good.
Yeah.
So I just, once again, as somebody who lives, and I live in the spot that's probably had some of the, well, technically not the greatest growth, but in the area that has the most growth, it's really sad for me to see some place that I moved in a decade ago start to have that sprawl. And this is just a map to me that says that we're going to have a lot more sprawl and a lot more smaller lots and a lot higher density property. And I'm not looking at that forward to that, so.
okay, thank you. Next is Brian Montgomery.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Montgomery. I live in the Brushy area of Hickman County. I kind of like where this is going. I agree with the gentleman that spoke before me. I think it makes a lot of sense. One of the previous drafts where it was kind of like a blanket 5 acre thing, I didn't think was fair to the people in East Hickman that seem to want to develop and have a lot more infrastructure and stuff like that. But on the west side of Hickman, where I live, where it's all predominantly agriculture, we're kind of the opposite. We want to leave things the way they are, you know, raise cattle and animals and stuff like that. So I think dividing it based on what the people want makes the most sense, and how often do we really get that? So, you know, like he said, the yellow is pretty sprawling, and with the infrastructure that we have, the roads and the power and the water and lack of sewage, you know, it can be problematic. I work in Franklin, and, you know, they put the cart before the horse. there's so much traffic because they build, and don't think about, you know, there's a 2-lane road that you're trying to support thousands of people. It just doesn't make sense. If we're going to grow as a county, we need to use common sense and build the infrastructure for what we want in the areas that make sense, where we have sewer already, because you have to think about how we're gonna fund all this. You know, the builders aren't gonna build the roads, they're not gonna build the infrastructure, that's gonna come from the county, and that's coming from our taxes. And raising property taxes isn't the answer to that either. We need to take a closer look, just like the federal government, at our spending and how our money is spent, and do it smart. Use a lot of common sense. That's where the money can come for this growth, but it requires more planning and thought, especially on the infrastructure. But I do support the separation of, you know, agriculture with the 5 acres, and then the more dense areas, if that's what people want to do. You know, I think there should also be some inclusions for people that already own the land, and they're not trying to build houses to sell, but, you know, if they have children that they want to live with them, should be something thought to that as well, for people that have acreage, but not quite enough to split 5 acres off for each kid. So, that's my opinion.
Thank you, Ryan. Jerry Adams.
Appreciate the opportunity. First of all, question for Mr. Drew. The land use plan, was it based off of this priority rankings?
The priority rankings from the second round of.
Yes.
That heavily informed a lot of the approach, yeah.
Could you put the bar chart back up there for me?
Sure.
These are not exact numbers, but approximately 27,000 people live in this county. He said that 435 people answered this survey. People over the age of 18 in the county, I'm gonna say, what, 18,000? So we've used a sample pool about this big to make this use plan. A sample pool this big. When I went on the website to find this, I had to dig and dig and dig to find this survey. How many of y'all in this room took this survey? What, maybe 10% or less? So there's the first problem. The second problem is we got responsibilities of government that we got to take care of the essentials first. The essentials first. So, Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Not to get personal, do you have kids or grandkids?
Hey, we gotta keep.
I do not.
We really don't do a lot of back and forth, but
No,
especially not.
I just asking a
not in the
question.
crowd.
Okay.
I mean, it
So
can happen
we gotta
after the
take
meeting outside, that's.
We gotta take care of the essentials, right? We gotta take care of, he mentioned roads, that's what I was gonna ask him about. The roads should be a major priority. If you wanna get the funding to take care of the roads and increase the infrastructure, we gotta have growth. If you put 1,000 new houses out there, you're not gonna get that much money in tax dollars. So if we wanna fix the sewer, the infrastructure, which is the county commission's responsibility and the county government, we've got to get businesses that fund that. I'm not saying go crazy, but businesses bring it in. Does anybody know what the new electrical motor place, those tax dollars will probably be the equivalent to 5,000 houses. I might be wrong, but businesses is what bring in the tax dollars that we would have that. So, you said you signed a contract to make this plan. I'm asking for all the taxpayers, what did that cost?
I'll defer to Claude if you look to share that.
I do not have that number in front of me. It's in the budget book. I can get you that number.
Okay.
Because we started this a year and a half ago.
Another thing, I don't remember the exact year. I could have gone either way. We got rid of single wide trailers because they didn't increase this tax base. Well, now we're proposing something that's gonna decrease the tax base. Because if you don't have more building and population, then your tax base, with inflation, is gonna pass you by. If your tax base stays the same and you don't have any growth, you're gonna have no money to take care of anything. Can you put up the map, please? Sure. Okay, so let me real quick, so I was gonna have another point, but, okay, the median house price in Hickman County, brand new, is listed for $399,000, it's sold for $271 to $325. The median household income, household, not individual, is $57,000. In order to buy a new home in Hickman County, you'd have to make between $75,000 and $95,000, and that's a $30,000 gap for any new young person. Right here on this, it says increased housing options, creating more places to live so young families can thrive in Hickman County. And on these billboards, they left out the young part. My time's up, I guess. Thank you.
All right, Ronnie George?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I want to speak as a citizen of Hickman County. I've been here all my life. I've been here since I was born in 1966. Seen some people who's moving in here want to change it. I mean, 1 acre of land per house is nice enough. You go to Beacon Light Estates, you go to Crossroads, they're all on 1 acre, they're nice. I don't understand the thing about 5 acres. I'm gonna work on Hargrove Road in Wilson County tomorrow, and the people hate it. They snuck that thing in. Most people don't buy the paper there. They're just neighbors and so forth, but they snuck that thing in, the 5 acres. Might have been these people, I don't know. But I can tell you right now, when you need something, you go to your parents or your grandparents, and your grandparents bought the property at $25 an acre. And this is what Mr. Bishop said down Moss Branch Road. He said, Ronnie, I don't like this new zoning y'all done. I was on the very first part of it. My dad hated me, and he hated it. Mr. Bishop hated it. He said, I only want to give him a half acre. I said, well, Mr. Bishop, you got to give him an acre. He said, but you know how these new young folks are. They may not stay married. They're not like me and mama. And so I said, Mr. Bishop, you're going to have to give him an acre. He said, well, I'll have to give him the other side of the creek. And I said, well, that's how it goes. So if you've got 3 acres and you got 2 kids, you can't give, if they do the 5 acres, you can't give a kid an acre. You got 2 kids, give them 2 acres, you're off and running. My brother, my cousin, they both done it. My grandfather gave them an acre, and that's how they got their start. Well, they wanted to move on, they sold it. But you know what? They bought a bigger place and had a couple more kids. My brother sold his place and put his 2 kids through college. So starter places is how it works. I grew up here, I want it. All the people coming in here from Davidson County, I got a good friend. They make above average means. He can buy 20 acres, 100 acres, 150 acres. Ain't no way I can do it. I make pretty good money. I got a blood blister from working. Gonna do that again tomorrow. But the thing about it is, you gotta think about what Jerry just said, is the youngsters. You gotta have a starter. I mean, you can't go, you gotta put 20% down. How long does it take 20% down on $400,000? I mean, man, I was a machinist and bought a farm off Mr. Ridge. If it went for my grandfather and my dad, there ain't no way I could have done it. No way. So you're gonna put these youngsters out of business. I mean, you gotta have affordable living and just have common sense. 5 acres is not gonna work. I mean, I don't care if you're in Lovable, down at Spot, in Etna, I don't care. Back then everybody had some, granddaddy had some, daddy got some. If you can give them an acre, you give them a start. I'm just saying, I don't wanna preach, but it's just crazy, this 5 acre thing. Like I said, I'm going to work tomorrow in Wilson County on Hargrove Road, which is off Pinewood Road, which is next to Leaper's Fort, and those people were furious. I mean, they're grandfathered in, they can keep their property, but they can't cut none off. They can't cut anything off. And I mean, so what do you say to your kids? So, well, we just gotta auction the property and you gotta go to Perry County to buy some property, because you can't buy it in Hickman County unless you buy 5 acres at a time. And so that's what you're saying, and that's what they're gonna sneak in, and that's what they snuck in Wilson County. I'm gonna rest. I think I took up too much air. Thank you.
Keith Tucker?
I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak tonight. I'm thankful for that opportunity. I would ask you as a planning and land committee, you know, to take everybody's account in here and listen to every voice here, because that truly is what makes government work for the people. And that's who it's for the people. I would say a lot, you know, that Ronnie George just said, you know, I was lucky enough for my dad to deed me off an acre of land. And I'm very thankful for it to give me my start. And as high as stuff has gotten in Hickman County, you know, I'm afraid Hickman Countyans are gonna be priced out of Hickman County. I mean, that's just the simple truth. You know, your average home, just your average home, is $275,000. You're gonna have to do some work to it. You know, you're gonna have to make about $90,000 starting out. And that's with no debt. No debt. You know, so it is about the young people. Whenever I bought my land like 17 years ago, me and my wife, we thought about our kids and we were hopeful that, you know, we would be able to deed them off some land. And you know, we had that in mind. But this 5-acre deal, over 80% of the county, is gonna knock a lot of that in the head. Not unless we make some kind of provision for it. You know, that's just, it's not feasible. It's not feasible for our kids. I ask you this question: if your house today in Hickman County was sitting on 5 acres of land, could you afford it? Could you afford it? And for me and my wife, we've sat down and talked about this as soon as we found out. My answer is, both of us got pretty good jobs, but we could not afford our house with 5 acres of land. We just couldn't do it. Not the way inflation is today. You know, we couldn't do it. So I mean, and two, you know, we're 1 acre throughout the whole county right now. Am I correct? Is that correct?
No, there's,
Other than the city limits, maybe?
well, and the, in the east end of the county where the current.
And that may be less, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're
Yeah.
1 acre, you know, throughout the whole county, you know, right now.
It could go down less than that.
Yeah, and then, you know, and this map, you know, you got it drawn as the green, you know, as rural, and yet I see Little Lot and Pinewood, some of the, and Toddy's Bend, some of the best agricultural land in our county. You know, if you grew up, you know that in Hickman County, that's some of your best agricultural land. I don't quite understand that. And you know, that's what I wanted to say as far as, you know, this is really gonna affect our young people, and it's gonna affect Hickman County, and I don't wanna drive Hickman Countyans out of Hickman County, and I do believe this is what this is gonna do. Thank you.
Rhonda Wilkerson?
I'm Rhonda Wilkerson. My family and I together own 300 plus agricultural forestry acres in Pinewood, on Pinewood Road. We desire to remain under the A1 agricultural zoning regulations. We support the 5-acre minimum with stipulation to deed off a smaller tract to family members, you know, if need be. Just ask that you protect our agricultural forestry lands, excuse me, and our waterways. Thank you.
Austin Page?
Having served as a county commissioner and on planning and zoning, I received 3 pieces of advice that come to my mind right now. One was from Keith and Danny and Claude. Claude, you told me that government policy is like a wildfire and it can't be stopped when it starts. Danny, you told me that a lot of folks want to shut the gate behind them and they forget that someone else left it open for them. And you told me if you take a man's money, you ride for the brand. And you've got all their money. We all do. So that's the first 3 pieces of advice. And I say that because and I build houses, I supply houses, and I can say I represent probably 200 plus different families. I see what young people are facing. It is hard, we have no inventory, and some of the same commissioners and the same leadership that is in support of a 5-acre minimum has also fought violently against the sewer that would allow for a growth zone where we'd like to have it. There's no sewer. I have an apartment complex on Highway 7. I have 5 acres of dirt beside it. It's got sewer on it. Not allowed to touch it. We're currently not allowed to touch the sewer. So no sewer, a 5-acre minimum, and you are going to force a high basis for young people. It's completely unacceptable. I believe another thing that we have to really consider here, outside of this growth zone, right now in the county, if you have 1 acre and you got a Tennessee TDEC approved perk site, you're allowed to put a home. If you are in the current growth zone and you get a R1 zoning, which is like pulling teeth, right, fellas? You're allowed to go down to a 0.67 or 0.68. You're allowed to do that as well. So I would have serious concerns right now to see, does that growth zone shrink? And I believe without that sewer in the growth zone, then it does shrink. It does shrink completely. And I also, look, at the end of the day, I think it's insane. I've worked with hundreds of families all over the county, and if a man, a woman, whoever you are, and if you've got 3-4 acres, and you're in Coble or Pinewood or Wrigley or Little Lot or Shady Grove or wherever, to tell them that they cannot split an acre for an aging parent, a young child, or an opportunity, I think it's a shame. I really do. And I feel strong in this. I have for a long time, and I could echo a lot of what's been said. I mean, I can understand the fear. I understand the fear. We don't want to live in Brentwood. I get it. You know, it's scary. Change is scary. But right now, we're running what? What's our deficit? What's our deficit? I know you're not allowed to talk to me. 10 million? Are we in the whole 10 million? I don't know exactly. I don't know what our total county deficit is right now, but I can tell you this. If there's not a business development and there's not affordable rooftops for the people here that need it, then it's going to grow and it's going to get a lot worse. So I'm not in support of living in Brentwood. I am in support of affordable housing and paving a way for the people that need it. That's my take. And I'm going to keep building houses for the people that need it.
The next name, I'm probably gonna butcher this, Judy, help me out with the last, yes.
Zolio.
So, sorry about that.
Okay.
Oops, you're okay. Okay. Hi, I appreciate everyone's stance here. I'm Judy Solio, by the way. I've lived here 30 years, and I'm sure nobody knows me. I've lived a quiet life. My issue is not as global as everyone's. I live on Highway 50 East there, and I have 6 acres, minus what the state can take for roadway. And my issue is that I want to section off a part of it for my kid. They are expanding their family, and they've grown out of the little house they have on Sunset. And I told them, you know, for their legacy, that they could have part of the land. But with this new 5-acre issue, now I'm concerned that they can't go out and choose a house and put it on there. And I'm not sure, because I own a little less than 6. So my property is actually quite pretty. I have a log home on a hill. I have a little outbuilding, and I have the same concerns as everyone else. The keeping it agricultural preservation. We're trying to have a little homestead. I have chickens, and we're, you know, have plans for other animals. I have a cave on the property. I have bamboo growing. I mean, I'm trying to keep it all natural and loving. I plan to, if they inherit and can use the land, and put it up next to my house. You know, just keep it in the family. I've had a lot of people try to purchase it from me for ridiculous amounts of money. And I said no, because I don't want to be that. I don't want my property to become like subdivided out. And so I understand that part. I've seen a lot of farmlands in Franklin, Brentwood get turned into, and it's very sad driving down the road. Drive down 31 and another farm is gone, another farm is gone. It seems to be monthly that they disappear. And I don't like that, but I do understand growth. I understand that. So I like to see this, but I'd also wonder, how is this going to affect me at some point? Allowing my family to have like a little compound with me, because I'm not getting any younger and I really want them to be taking care of me into my old age and be around me. So it's echoing a lot of the concerns of these people here. So maybe not in the same terminology, but I seem to be on the east part of the county, so it may not affect me as much the way everyone is talking. The numbers may be different as far as the acreage, so I'm still not quite understanding. So I should just wait and see and keep checking the website for more information down the road.
And I mean, as the discussions go,
Yeah,
yeah, there'll be, I mean, you just, and this goes for everybody,
Yeah.
keep coming to meetings. I mean, as the more we talk and the more we tweak this and then get into the zoning changes, just keep coming to the meetings and stay.
okay. In the meantime, I can still buy the septic permit and keep going with it.
Oh, yeah, nothing's gonna change until there's a vote and all of that. So,
Okay, thank you so much.
next name, Steve, is it Chasen?
So, my name is Steve Chasen. I'm a real estate agent, investor. I appreciate the discussion this evening. It's been informative to a certain extent. I can't say there are certain things here that are, I guess, a little bit troubling, and as a resident of Hickman County, I just like to understand, and I think, you know, everybody's expressing genuine goodwill towards moving to what they think is right. One quick question, and just for my own edification, Austin had mentioned that we have about a $10 million deficit in the county. It's $400 per every human being.
I don't know what he's talking about.
9.8?
On the 10 million.
It was on the front page of the paper. 9.8 million?
The 10, I mean, it's.
It's 9.8 million. It was on the front page of the paper.
I mean,
So, are you disputing that?
No, what
Oh,
I'm
saying
is on the, and I mean, and this is planning and zoning, you know, I mean, we've done the.
Well, no, well, there's context to the question, sir.
Sorry.
The cost of this particular line item, does anybody know how much it costs? I'm just curious. I was told 175,000.
You talking for them?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I can get you all that exact number.
No, nobody knows it?
No, I mean, we've talked about it 2 years ago, but I mean, there's been a lot of numbers that we've discussed.
It's a pretty big line item number, 175,000. I guess my question, if we're 10 million in a hole and nobody knows where the, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, not trying to be, it just seems a little bit.
You just talk.
Yes, yes.
We're back and forth, we'll lead up the time, you just.
Yeah, no, I understand. I guess I certainly believe in controlled growth. I don't know where, if part of the discussion of this growth or this growth plan is not necessarily the ideal, but what you're gonna do with people's property. In other words, that's 80% of the county, as this very nice lady just mentioned, and you're gonna tell her she's no longer allowed to cut off an acre to support her family. Agricultural preservation is done by farmers who have an interest in maintaining land, often with extended families, not always with extended families, often with people who work on their farms. And there are some people who just simply don't want any growth, and I guess everybody's entitled to that opinion.
That's your time, but I cut into it, so you keep going. I'll give you another minute.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm taking some notes. Yeah, anyway, regarding urban sprawl, we've gone from 25,000 to 26,000 people in roughly the last 20 years, 25 to 26,000. Drew, I appreciate you elucidating me. Where we are in Hickman County is in the West Highland Rim, a physiographic region of Tennessee that limits growth and development. And Drew basically verified that it doesn't matter if you have 5 acres or 1 acre, the growth and development is not going to happen on the outskirts of the Highland Rim. It's going to be within the Nashville Basin and within the Central Basin, Davidson, Williamson, Murray. I am all about pro-growth. If you have grandma and grandpa that want to cut off 1 acre and give it to their kids or give it to a helper or help pay their taxes, which are probably going to have to go up, they should be entitled to do that. I think that's the opinion of most of the people here, and I don't believe that somebody else imposing their will upon somebody's right to dispose of their property is where most people that own land, I think some people feel that way. I don't think most of the people out there that own land believe you should be able to do that. And we are essentially going to be voting on a plan that is going into law for zoning changes. It had been mentioned in the beginning that this isn't law, but this is the recommendation that's going to council for law, correct?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you for your time, sir.
Delta Mayberry. Citizen Delta Mayberry.
Citizen. Proud to be a citizen. Claude, first of all, I want to thank you for being patient with everybody. I realize this is not a question answer, but you have been very patient and I appreciate it. I am here as a citizen, using my knowledge as a property assessor. The state of Tennessee, everything under 15 acres is based on a per unit price. And I'm gonna use a UM 50, which is $25,000 for the first acre. That is what a lot of Highway 100 right now is valued at. 1 acre paid at $25,000, and I'm using the 2024 tax base rate because, to my knowledge, the state has not confirmed the 2025 rate yet. But the taxes brought in on 1 bare acre of land valued at $25,000 is $161. The more acreage, the lower per acre the price gets. A 5 acre tract, total appraisal would be $53,150. Now you start out 1 acre at 25. When you get to 5, you're down to $53,000. The taxes on that is $342. If you take the 5 1 acre tracts, add them together, you get a total of $805 for taxes. That is a difference of $463 that's going to be made up if the 5 acre tract passes. There is a definite ratio proven by the state, the numbers work, between the price someone pays for land and the price of a house that they can afford to build. It's a ratio of 1 to 7 to 1 to 10. Now in today's climate, I really think it will be generally closer to the 1 to 10. So if you have to buy 5 acres and you give $53,000 for it, you have lowered the price of the house that you're able to build because there's not so much money people can borrow. And if you have to add more price to the land to get to 5 acres, then you're lowering the dollar amount of the house that can be built on it. And this is going to translate to lower taxes, which is going to be made up. Another thing that I would like to point out, historically, land is an investment. People buy land for an investment. A lot of people buy land and figure that's what they're gonna retire on. If the 5 acre passes from the numbers that is used in the property assessor's office, a person will basically be selling 2 acres of land to give it away 3. Now that is really gonna hurt people's retirement. And this is people that bought this land years ago with the idea that it would support them in their later life. And I'd just like for this committee to think about that, because it is gonna have a huge impact on Hickman County. It's gonna translate, in my mind, to higher taxes for everybody that's here, because the growth is not gonna be here. But I appreciate y'all's willingness to work on this and your time. And again, Claude, I appreciate you being patient.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, though. Rita Cannon.
I live in Pinewood, and my main concern is I don't want a subdivision in my front yard. I would like to keep Pinewood agricultural. As far as the 5 acre thing, I really don't have a dime in that. We only own 2.5 acres, but from what I'm hearing, from what people's already spoke, it is a concern to subdivide out a small tract and give your children or your grandchildren some property. So I really don't understand why there couldn't be some type of amendment to be able, for families to be able to do something like that.
Thank you, Ms. Cannon. Jared Word.
I want to thank y'all for having this today and hearing this, and thank you to my neighbors for coming out and valuing this. I actually started with a question, but now I've heard a lot of numbers tossed around, and I think one gentleman said something about affordable housing. I'll say that they built several houses in my neighborhood, and not one of them sold for under $330,000. So that just seems to be somewhat of a misnomer. And there was another number about, I guess, only 400 people being asked, but I would say there's a lot less people in here tonight than 400 that were surveyed. So I just wanted to, I guess, bring that number up too. And looking at this map right here, which I think y'all did a great job on it, you know, the 5 acre rule only applies to areas that don't have infrastructure right now. So the problem with that is whoever builds that infrastructure, you know, they're gonna promise, oh, we're gonna do this for Hickman County, we're gonna do, but I guarantee they build the infrastructure right there, they're just gonna turn around and build houses in Columbia and sell them for $1 million, just like they wanna do in East Hickman. They want to build a wastewater facility, Williamson-Dixon Water Authority. It's not even a public utility. This is a private corporation. They want to build that so they can build $1 million homes in Fairview. This isn't about affordable housing. If you break off an acre of that, somebody's still got to build that house. And if you want to say, you know, affordable housing in this day, I think it's, the price of houses just aren't going to go down. And building infrastructure out there is not going to help Hickman, in my opinion. And I think that looking at this map, you know, the majority of it is 1 acre or less. I mean, I live in Pinewood, still be an acre. We have the infrastructure already, you don't have to build that. And in my opinion, this is a special place that's worth protecting. That's just my opinion. I drive around here and I am so proud to show people this area, this beautiful area that I live in. People love it. And it's probably the most water-rich county in Tennessee. One of the most water-rich areas in, I mean, anywhere I've been. I've never been anywhere like it before. And, you know, I think it's important to preserve that. And as a young person who makes well under $90,000, I was able to, fortunately buy my house, for, it was around $250 or so. And on the way down here, I saw 5 houses for sale on Highway 100, just from Pinewood to here. We have housing, and it's priced affordably, more so affordably than $400,000 for sure. So I think that there's a lot of numbers that are just being tossed around that are just kind of dishonest. A lot of the commentary, in my opinion, is done cynically. And a lot of the people that are for this are just people that are gonna make money off of it. And I just don't think that, looking at that is very controversial at all. I think they did a good job in drawing it up and taking our community into account. And I really appreciate it. If I have more time, I have a question.
Yeah, you got about 30 seconds.
This is the question I originally had. If I read it correctly, there was a conservation easement in the plan, is that true?
Yes, and so those are, mentioned earlier, those are largely limited currently to where you have land that's preserved. So obviously you've got it along Natchez Trace Parkway, also the Bon Aqua Reserve up there. So that's where those are currently located, where it's just a moratorium on it.
So the agricultural preservation area, if you wanted to subdivide it less than 5 acres, you could essentially do so if you enter into a conservation easement on part of the land. Is that, am I understanding that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't get into that level we don't get into that particular issue. That's something that would need to be.
But that could be an option.
Potentially.
Okay, that was it.
Thank you. Next, Normal Manor.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'm going to apologize to begin with. I am not a public speaker, and my knees are shaking right now, so if I stutter and stammer, please forgive me. And I really don't necessarily want to weigh in on the 1 acre, 5 acre thing. I don't know how that particularly should go. I know there's a lot of opinion on it. My major concern to the extent of that is that the overlapping of the area that they were talking about with the Dixon Water Authority and how it happens to overlap with a lot of this eastern end here, which I happen to live close to, I guess you can tell. But my fear is what that's going to do to our personal well water and the aquifer that's underneath our whole county and everything. As you know, it all flows downhill. I mean, you know, this is not just going to affect this upper end. Everything all the way down to the Duck River, all the way down. This kind of growth will cause us to have all of the negative things that Dixon and Williamson County have, but none of the positive. We risk the health and safety not only of our own generation, but every generation to come. Once this stuff is in the water, it's you don't get it back out. You don't get it out of the land. And I'm sorry.
You're okay. You got a couple more minutes, take your time.
We don't have access to city water and sewer in our area because we don't want it, thank goodness, and hope that it doesn't come our way because of the risk, the trade-off for what it does to the environment and our health is unacceptable. We live along a creek and it's a magnet for everybody in Williamson County already. And when the population increases in that area, it's only going to get worse. The creek right now is at the lowest I've ever seen it since the 60s. It's never been lower on a spring that we've had the most rain that I can remember. You know, what is this going to do to that environment? And how it relates to that, I'm sorry.
Thank you. James Johnston.
I have spoken to some of the commissioners here. I called them, talked to them. Y'all know how I feel about it. I'm not for this 5 acres. I've got children, I've got grandchildren coming up, and they're not rich. You take the people, young kids coming up, if they gotta get 5 acres of ground, that limits their ability to even put even a mobile home, a single, a double wide. Because you can't put, you gotta have 15 acres now to put a single wide. That just about rules them out. If they get a mobile home, it's gonna have to be a double wide, and it's gonna have, even if they get a used one, they gotta try to get finance. Y'all know about financing. It's not easy to get financing on a new one. So how they gonna get financing on the land, get financing on the trailer, and get it set up, and them to be able to make a living? Because like I brought up the last time when I was here, if, say a guy's making $21 an hour, he's gotta get out of this county. You don't have the infrastructure here to pay most of the guys here $21 an hour. If you got his wife, usually gonna have to stay here with the kids. You know, they'll go work at a daycare or school or something that's making $10, $12 an hour, 13 maybe, or maybe a little bit more. But at the end of the day, or the end of the month, from what I know for being a supervisor at work, the guy drives a beater. It's paid for. The wife has to have a decent car. I explained that the last time here. You gotta make a payment on that. You gotta pay insurance on it. Y'all know about insurance. Well, you gotta pay insurance on the property insurance, which is on the trailer and everything. You gotta pay the land taxes. You gotta pay all of that. So how he gonna put his family in a 5 acre plot with a trailer? Just a trailer. I'm not talking about a house. I'm just talking about a trailer. You look at, what, 5 acres, that's roughly $50,000? Maybe $35,000 to $50,000. He gotta make that loan. Well, he gotta pay for that before he can even think about getting a trailer going or anything, or build a house on it. Well, he's gotta rent somewhere. He gotta pay rent. He gotta eat. He gotta have insurances on him and his wife. He gotta have insurances on all the vehicles. This, that, and other. How is he gonna make that in Hickman County? I'd like to know that. And I expressed my opinion to some of y'all. I've told you, I left you voicemails. I'm sure y'all heard me. I don't want to be a butt, but I want somebody to explain that to me. Because I don't see it from what they make. They got to hold out for their things that come out of their check. You don't get that much money. Yeah, you made $21 an hour. By the time you take out all the taxes, y'all know all about that with y'all's income. And you get all the taxes out of it and pay your gas. He has to pay gas. He has to go back and forth to Columbia, Franklin, somewhere to work. 30 seconds. Okay. I'm sorry, I just wanted to express that opinion. The 5 acres is not good for this county. If you want to impose something, why can't you, if you're thinking about developing, companies coming in, buying, maybe developing land and putting housing on it, you know what you're talking about. And why can't you restrict them? You furnish them permits. Why don't you color permits? You gotta do this, or you gotta do that. You can only allow so many permits to that land. And then leave the residential people alone. Why couldn't we do that? I'm just asking. Thank you for your time.
Philip Hallbrooks.
Good evening. How y'all doing? Well, I hadn't got a whole lot to say except that I'm against the 5 acre thing. And I would like to have a show of hands of the people that are against it.
Against the 5 acres.
Against the 5 acres. So it looked like it's pretty well split, doesn't it? I would love to see it stay at the 1 acre for any of the properties that's on any county roads or anything like that. And if you're gonna put a 5 acre thing, put it back in some of those large timber areas that we got in the county that ain't even farmland. And you know, let them go out there and buy the 5 acres. But don't leave some of this along the roads for our kids. They need it. We don't need somebody else telling us what to do with our own land. That's the way I see it.
Praise God.
Thank you.
Eric Wystad.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Eric Lysted. I'm here to talk about the 5 acres and the land use plan. Now, the land use plan is a good idea. Everybody needs to figure out what they're gonna do with the land. Where did the restriction that has to be attached with this? During the land use plan, there's nowhere in the state law that says you have to restrict the citizens of a county to a certain size. The state mandates 1 acre for septic systems. That's understandable. If the citizens want to have restrictions put on themselves, you should take some of the money for the land use plan, have a special election, let the citizens vote instead of 11 people. And then if the 11 people don't vote the way they want to, then the citizens can see how they go and replace them. So have it by the will of the people for the land use, not a board that's hired to achieve a certain agenda. Because that's the same as if you're gonna hire an attorney. You hire one that's going to meet your agenda. Hire a land use plan, hire the engineers that will do what a certain few people may want. I would take the money and make a special election or referendum and let the citizens of the county vote. If they choose not to vote for it, let them be quiet. If they choose to vote for it, that's the will of the people, not the will of 11. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Before we get into, before we leave this, just a couple of comments. Any zoning change, and I said this earlier, but I'll say it again, any zoning change, that's the green book, it'll come out of the planning commission. It'll have 2 public hearings, and then it's voted on by the county commission. This body will make a recommendation, and then it goes to the county commission for a vote. We changed it last month. There used to be just 1 public hearing, there'll be 2. Of course, we're a ways away from that because nothing, I mean, as you can tell, there's gonna be a lot of edits, and so, you know, there's not gonna be a vote on the land use plan tonight. But he said 11, it's the 14 county commissioners is that's who puts the zoning resolution, that's what makes it law. This committee, the planning committee, will kick around all kinds of things, as far as the zoning changes. We talk about that stuff and the fine details in it. I mean, it's the 5 acres has been the common theme of the night. You know, there's counties that have 5 acres and then they allow an acre to be, a family to go down to an acre. It has to stay in the family for 10 years. There's other counties that allow it to be subdivided, like the compound word was used, and so, and the staff's already started looking at this. I've already started talking to other counties. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of discussion about how we could make all of this work, preserve the rural part of the county, but also accommodate, you know, that, and I mean, nothing can be done fast when it comes to planning and zoning. There's a lot of avenues to look. That's why I've started calling other counties to see. And so all that's going to be kicked around. But I just want everybody to understand that as far as a zoning change that is made on lot size, unit size, all of that, it will first come out of this committee after it's been discussed, and then in order for it to become the law, it'll be passed by the county commission, the 14 county commissions that are from every district. So I wanted to clear that up. It's a long process. There'll be a lot of discussion. but as long as everybody understands that any change like that, it's gotta start here, and then it goes to the county commission. It'll have 2 hearings. It'll be basically 2 months. There'll be a public comment before the county commission meeting, and then there will be no vote that first month, and then the second month, there'll be another public comment period, and then there'll be a vote there. And so it is a long process, but just need to understand that if any, my time's up. So, but I hope everybody understands that. That wraps up the public comment period. And out procedure-wise, it's the, on the land use plan, we're gonna put the latest edition on the website, and then we will, planning commission, I need y'all to weigh in, and then it'll stay on the agenda for next month under old business, and we'll kick it right back up next month. And so, and I'll say this, our county clerk goofed this, the meeting starts at 6:30.
I fixed it.
Yeah. Shows you weren't listening, but we meet the first Tuesday night of every month at 6:30 right here. It's the first Tuesday of every month, unless if it hits on the holiday, then we'll have to adjust it. But that's when we meet, and so, okay. Somebody correct me on the procedure here, but are we ready to move on to new business?
My comments for the city, I know on the agenda pertain to the land use plan. Do you want me to?
Yeah, you're a D on the new business.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw that or not.
I heard you say that we were wrapping up the land use plan.
Yeah, but it's, cause that's gonna be, I figure that's gonna be a little bit different on the, with pertaining to the city and all that. So I understand what you're saying, but what you got you down is D. Let me ask the planning question. Do we need another break? Are we ready to roll on? Fine, yeah. We'll take 10 minutes. Fine.
Take a nap. Caregivers stop this. Caregivers we do at 8.
You're dirty bastard.
Oh, you think you're ready? What's going on?
Yeah, now, you want a date, and I'm fair. July, Monday. Oh, yeah. He's got an appointment too, that's for sure.
Get that back in your
Well, I'm glad y'all appreciate it.
Did you work today, Will?
Thank you, sir.
Did you work today?
Yeah, you better.
Good to see you.
Be careful, Mike. Tell Sharon hello.
Yeah, I will.
To be honest with you, being so better, we don't have a plan. So we use 6 seconds, turn right back around, right over the top. Those people, they don't have regular tractor head.
Ma'am, here you go, ma'am. I got
time out. What's the
See something different,
Alright, let's, Alright, we're gonna call this back to order. On the new business. Request, Silicon Ranch, Tanner Scott, final site plan approval. Property located on North Lick Creek. I will, Amanda, if you don't mind introducing this, please.
Sure. This is a final site plan approval on property located on North Lick Creek in Lyles. You all saw this site plan last month. They have provided their stormwater pollution prevention program permit from TDEC. They provided a copy of that to the office. No plans, no changes have been made to their site plan since last month. Meaning that this is a final site plan that's been submitted. No changes again have been made, and staff recommends approval.
Okay. Mr. Nash.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. There is a second. Okay, motion to approve and a second.
Second.
Clark. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Will Mayberry,
Yes.
Jeff Church,
Yes.
Tony Taylor,
Yes.
Tommy Caps.
He had to step out just for a second.
Okay, we'll come back, we'll circle back. Danny Clark,
Yes.
Eddie Boone,
Yes.
Bill Lane,
Yes.
Jason Carter,
Yes.
Claude Calicut,
Yes.
Keith Nash,
Yes.
Andy Maddox,
Yes.
and Mr. Tommy.
Yes.
Does anyone wish to change this vote? Okay, it has approval. And I'll say this, because I see some faces in the crowd that not here for this part, is, normal monthly business of the planning commission, if there is a subdivision plat, that, if there's subdivision that's gonna be built in the county, that plat is brought into the office, and it's reviewed by the office, and then if it follows and fits all the things in this book, then it is approved. And But there's a lot of things that has to be checked on that. I mean, the list is extremely lengthy, and it's all governed by the zoning resolution. And so, but that's what we're kind of handling now. And if there's questions or some gray area, you know, we have to go through that, but if it fits all the criteria. The next is zoning request, Dylan Jenkins going from A1 to R1. And Brooke, if you don't mind, and I say this now too, normally the Director of Planning and Zoning is introducing these. Austin Brown is our newly hired Planning and Zoning Director. His first day was July the 1st today. And so, yeah, that's good timing right there, isn't it? Yeah, so, yeah, well, we'll see. I think he's gonna make it today too, though. But yeah, so he, start next month, he'll have more of a role in this. But Brooke, if you don't mind, if you could just kind of talk about this a little bit, please.
Let's see, Dylan Jenkins, let's see. The rezoning, he wants to rezone to R1 from A1. It's on Northlick Creek, and it is in the planned growth area.
Perfect.
It's not in, is it North, I don't think it is Northwood Creek.
Oh,
No, that's,
I'm sorry. Yeah, McFarland, I'm sorry. 9010 McFarland Road.
yeah, that was the one above.
Sorry.
Yeah. And I should have read all the way through. It is on McFarland Road. It is in the planned growth area. And so, questions from the Mr. Nash?
It's kind of hard to see from, is that at the end of McFarland Road?
This is the one on top hat.
That's why I'm having a hard time, because this says McFarland Road here.
That's the mailing address, is the Tom Patton.
Is that at the end of McFarland Road? I'm just trying to.
Yes, please. Yes, sorry. Yep.
Yeah, so there's actually not even a road sign there. That's just a mailing address. It may be an old road. I don't know what happened. But yeah, it's actually, there is road frontage like right on 100 right there. So right where Prim Springs Road. So Prim Springs Road is right there.
Dylan, is this like an easement? I mean, I'm trying to figure out.
No, that's actual road frontage.
But this is Highway 100.
Yeah.
And then where is McFarland Road?
I asked the same thing. I asked the same thing. There ain't no road sign or anything. There,
Okay.
So it's actually on 100. It's on 100. Yeah. I don't know.
McFarland Lane out there.
And you go a little bit further down, and that's it. But as far as McFarland Road, I mean, you can try to look it up on GPS. It's gone. So.
I was looking at it.
In the old plat map, it actually showed a road coming around. It's in behind a trailer park.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Wow. So if you divide this property, obviously if you go into R1 from A1, then you're wanting to divide the property. How are you going to get driveways?
Well, I was actually told to, so what I want to do is actually do a quadruplex. So that's my plan with it. So I'm not trying to split it up. I was just told I needed an R1 zoning for me to be able to put more units than just a duplex on there. So that's kind of why I'm here. So the plan isn't to split it up. It's just to, do that. Or whatever the septic permits. So, if he comes back to me and says, there's a trailer there, it's got a 2-bedroom septic tank already there. So, there's 2 right there. But if I can get 2 more, if he permits me for it, then, it's even better.
How much road frontage?
I mean, to me, it looks like 25 foot. I mean, it don't look like much. There is an easement that comes through there to get to the back, to this back property, but mine is considered like actual road frontage on the survey. Yeah.
Are you talking about taking out the mobile home?
Yes, yeah, that thing needs to go. It's bad.
Only benefits the septic system.
Yeah. It's pretty ideal for septic. Everything starts where that trailer is. It kind of slightly, gradually falls back down to this bigger plot of land. So it's got a good fall. I mean, to me, in my eyes, I wouldn't see any problem with, septic wise doing them. Yeah.
I guess it would have to be addressed on 100 because it does not touch another road.
Yeah, it says McFarland, and then these trailers that are in front, they're actually called Freebird Court, is what their name is. So I don't know what's going on, but I was hoping y'all might know.
One time used to come all the way over the house, touch it back.
Okay. That needs to be corrected though. The tax card has the, well, I just saw it, McFarland Road as the address, and I'd say that would need to be corrected.
Yeah.
You can take it now to property assessor's office
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, I was looking for him back there, but yeah, get that fixed, so everything is right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Just for the record, are you aware that a quadruplex will require a special exemption?
Yeah, so I actually had that set up first, and then Robert told me, he was like, you can't, you have to get this first, and then next, that's the next step.
I got you. Just want to make sure you're aware.
Yeah, I was aware, yeah.
Other questions, discussion? Nash?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Any other discussion? Brooke, you ready for a vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Will Mayberry,
Yes.
Jeff Church,
Yes.
Tony Taylor,
Yes.
Tommy Capps,
Yes.
Danny Clark,
Yes.
Eddie Boone,
Yes.
Bill Lane,
Yes.
Jason Carter,
Yes.
Bob Calcott,
Yes.
Keith Nash,
Yes.
Andy Maddox.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change his vote? Okay, that was approved. Next one, Dylan, this is the property, going from A1 to R1, property located on Vaughn Lane, Lyles, Tennessee.
This one is actually right in behind. Same similar deal, beside a trailer park. Want to do the same thing, whatever septic permits. If it's a 2-bedroom, obviously, I'm stuck with that. If it's 3, 4, I'm not planning to split it up. It's right at an acre, so same kind of plan.
Where's it at?
So turning on Prim Springs Road right there from 100, you go down and it's that first dirt road right on the left. Yeah. Kind of butts, tees into Fantasy Drive.
Fantasy Drive, Freebird.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were all done back in the 70s.
The other one was 2.5 acres. This one's, I think, right. If it ain't an acre, it's right under it.
Right, what?
Right under it. Maybe like 0.95.
How far off of Prim Springs are you?
I can throw a rock pretty far, and I bet I could hit it. I mean, it's pretty close. It's not far.
But from Prim Springs Road to the property, it's a dirt.
Yeah, dirt road, yeah.
Plastic.
Yeah.
And not a, I'm pretty sure it's not a wide easement. It may be 20.
Vaughn?
Yeah, yeah, Vaughn Road.
That's gonna become part of the criteria. It's a small road. It's probably a 15, maybe 20-foot easement.
16-foot right away. D, dirt road, or church road, 16-foot right away.
Any more questions? Okay, I'll be looking for a motion to approve. So, this is in the area.
Yeah, in the code south.
Yep, right. Nash?
One last question. And again, you're trying to do a duplex, quite whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
But you know, you realize that if we do this here, you still gotta go to BZA.
Yeah, yeah, Robert informed me that, yeah.
Now, it's got to go to county commission.
Yeah, yeah.
And it'll be a public comment period at the end of July, and then the vote will be the August.
28th, right? Yeah.
Yeah, correct, yeah. Let's make sure everybody understands all the timeline thing.
Well, it'd be sometime, if it all goes right, it'd be sometime 1st of September before the BZA would even hear it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because they would have to, the county commission would have to approve the R1.
And that's even after, that's, because y'all just put that in motion where there's three.
Yeah, yeah, because there's gonna be 2 months, basically, 2 public hearings at the county commission level on changes, any changes to the book. And so, if there's a motion, just like, well, the previous property.
Yeah.
Like that one, it had approval come out of this body, and then it'll go to the county commission at the end of July, 4th Monday. And then the vote will be the 4th Monday of August. And then if it's approved there from the county commission, then you'll have the opportunity to go to the BZA, which, Eric, y'all are the second Monday, BZA? Yeah, second Monday of, and so it'll make sure that you, if all those steps fall in place, make sure you get put on the agenda there and all that. So, yeah, that's the timeline on all the changes. So.
Brooke, I need to say this. This being the first day of July, everything we do tonight will be at the next legislative body meeting, correct? Because of your cutoffs?
It should be. I don't have my calendar, my schedule in front of me, but I think it should be, yes.
And in this, and you're around more than most, I want you to understand this. Last month, we approved in this body a zoning change to some property right there at Old 46 and Johnny Crow Road. It won't come before the legislative body until next month. And we're sitting here and planning having another one.
Yeah.
So this change, just so Dylan's aware of it, it could, in probably half the months out of the year, because the planning commission is meeting so late in the month, like this is the first day.
Yeah.
We could meet on the 6th day of the month. That won't allow Brooke time to advertise this, and it'll be 3 months. It won't be 2, it'll be, the process has been slowed down greatly. And I'm saying this to
And that was
everybody.
after that's what it was approved. So, wasn't there a cutoff for like?
Well, some of this is, not to be out of turn on this, is that the public notice has to go out. And with the change in the paper, that has changed some things too, because the paper deadlines are earlier, but it's the signs, the public notice has to go out.
Yeah.
So that's
Whatever y'all gotta do, so.
Right, yeah, right.
I'm good with that. I'm just rolling with the punches, so.
but sometimes there is some confusion and
Yep.
frustration with that, you know, but that the public notice has to go out and all of that.
Okay. I got enough to keep me busy in the
Well, you're,
meantime.
I realize it, but you're a frequent customer, and
Yeah.
I just wanted you to understand
Yeah.
that there's,
Depending on how the dates fall.
Okay.
the dates could even add another month to it. And
Okay.
It's gonna be a little longer than what you're used to,
Okay.
but that allows for more public comment, and that, I think that'll be the benefit. And some people don't agree with me, but I think that'll be the benefit in the long run.
Yeah. I definitely, because it's around, both of them are kind of set in spots where, you know, like all this right through here, I think of this guy's rental property and that. So, I mean, I could have some public input coming in the negative, but for the most part, majority, I think, you know, I don't think it should be too bad.
I don't disagree with that. Where you're putting it, it's probably gonna be better than what's around it.
Yeah. I agree.
I've got a little issue with R1 zoning on 16-foot right-of-way roads.
Yeah. See, I mean, if it was a way for me to not have that zoning and still, you know, get that special exception and do what I, you know, wanted to do, definitely, I would be up for it. But I was told I had to do this, so.
Any more discussion? Or we're gonna have a motion to approve? Mr. Nash,
Make a motion to approve.
who would like to second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Katz. All right, we got a vote, please, ma'am?
Will Mayberry,
Yes.
Jeff Church,
Yes.
Tony Taylor,
Yes.
Tommy Capps,
Yes.
Danny Clark,
Yes.
Eddie Boone,
Yes.
Bill Lane,
Yes.
Jason Carter,
Yes.
Claude Callcott,
Yes.
Keith Nash,
Yes.
Andy Maddox.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Have 11 yeses. Approved. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, Josie Blystad, Director of Planning and Zoning for the Town of Centerville.
It's actually Pearson, I was
Oh, I'm
married,
sorry.
but formerly Blystead.
Hey, I will blame that on Brooke.
Sorry.
Because, and I apologize, I knew that. Oh,
I was
man.
gonna throw Blystead in there anyways.
Sure.
If you wanna pass these around, there's some maps. So I am on the agenda as new business, but a lot of what I'm gonna say is gonna pertain to the land use plan that you guys have proposed, except for, as far as Centerville is concerned, just what's within the urban growth boundary. And I do have a larger map, if anybody else would like to see it. The urban growth boundary is that orange area that is outside of the yellow area on that map. Now, from my understanding, Amanda, you might be able to answer this for me, but this land use plan doesn't actually change the growth boundaries, it just adds a policy to go with the growth boundaries, correct? Because you have to call the coordinating committees back together to be able to change the actual growth boundaries.
Correct.
Okay, so anyways, I have read the current land use plan that the county has from 2008. I've also read the one that the city has done from 2006. It was actually done before the counties was done because the state required all counties to adopt them, and at that time, the county didn't adopt one, but the city did. And that's what implemented that orange area that you're seeing, and then in 2008, when they changed it, that added the planned growth area, which is the blue area that you're seeing on you guys' map. In your current land use policy, since it was done after ours doesn't mention yours, but yours does mention our land use plan. There are several instances to where it references Centerville and how Centerville should be developed and how that urban growth boundary should be developed per Centerville's policy. What I am here tonight is to create a good faith effort to work together with the county where previously there may not have been that effort, even though it was written in this book 20 years ago. So some of the development on the map that you had for the land use plan shows a high-density development for y'all, which is 1 unit per 1 acre, or less, depending on how it plays out. But that is actually a low-density development for the city of Centerville. So what happens then is that without coordinating, without coordinating policies, that creates issues such as property gets developed under high-density areas for the county, but for the city, it's low density. So then that creates issues whenever that land is to be annexed, because the whole purpose of this was at some point that orange area, the urban growth boundary, becomes part of the city limits of Centerville, and it's served by our infrastructure that we have. So what I would like to propose to you guys while y'all are doing your land use plan is to kind of mesh the zoning districts that you have in the county and create some, like similar to the R1 and R2, that are only specific to the planned growth area. I would like you guys to consider creating districts that are specific to our urban growth boundary. Say you can have 10,000 square foot lots. I know that sounds super small to you guys, but if sewer serves that area, it's actually not the smallest lot that our zoning ordinance allows. So at a time when the property is hopefully annexed into the city, if and when those subdivisions mesh together and they become more harmonious. They don't just, you don't see subdivisions happening within subdivisions, because if you have subdivisions that are all 1 acre and they're not, developed, and then you come in and Centerville annexes that property, then they can then create subdivisions within that subdivision. So there's just issues that create. So within the next 1 to 2 years, I'll say, Centerville will also be updating our land use transportation policy, because they both expire in 2025, which is a loose term because they can be updated. You don't have to scrap the document, they're not milk. But, so that is why I'm here tonight, in hopes that you guys will consider that or create some language within the zoning ordinance that maybe allows for you guys to come in and say, hey, when Centerville creates their land use policy, we're going to come in and create some new zoning districts. Let them do the legwork and us provide that zoning information to you so you don't have to spend any more money, and then vote on it and make that actually part of your zoning ordinance. So that's kind of why I'm here. I know that in the past, Centerville and Hickman County have not always worked together very well, but I'm hoping to change that, and that's kind of all I've got to say. I appreciate you guys' time, and if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. I do want to make a note that if you guys adopt your policy, we do not have to necessarily abide by that policy within that urban growth boundary. Unless, if you bring it to your legislative body, it becomes a law, like your zoning ordinance. Now, we would like for us both to adopt each other's zoning policy. That would make things so much easier. But Centerville cannot adopt your land use plan how it is, because with how you've got it laid out in the urban growth boundary, you've got 1 acre lots, which then creates issues for our infrastructure and our sewer policies. So it doesn't make sense at some point later down the road for our sewer to come in when there are sewer systems, individual sewer systems or alternate sewer systems. It just doesn't make sense money-wise for our infrastructure to expand in those areas. So it becomes undesirable, and it actually makes the land underutilized as far as the city is concerned. So that is what I hope you guys will consider. And if you do decide to do that, then we could also adopt your growth plan. You could send it to our municipal body, and we could adopt your plan. We could send our plan to yours, and then it becomes law for Centerville and Hickman County as a whole, and we are working together for one goal instead of our own agendas, which don't always mesh.
All right, question. When, and you might have said this and I missed it, has the city updated theirs?
We have not. Ours is, we are in need of updating it, and we are gonna go after some grants to do so. We just haven't done that yet.
Sure.
But we anticipate to do that within the next 1 to 2 years. But of course, we've got to do a study and follow the process similar to what you guys have just followed.
Sure, gotcha. Okay. Mr. Clark?
This is for the professional planner. Inside of the urban growth boundary, who determines subdivision regs and zoning changes?
The city would.
We would. We have planning jurisdiction within that area. But it does have to go, any zoning
I knew
change.
that, but
Right.
I wanted that
And I meant to touch
information
on
for
that. Any zoning change would have to, and it probably has never been done this way, but the proper avenue
not.
of it being done would be, if it falls within that urban growth boundary and somebody wants to rezone their property or subdivide it, it needs to come to the Central Municipal Regional Planning Commission. And if they recommend it or not recommend it, it has to go to the county's legislative body for final approval. Now that is only on the zoning change. As far as subdivision, we have complete say over subdivision development. However, we do have to create our subdivisions to your minimum lot standards, which is the issue because your 1 acre lots is a lot bigger if it's served by public sewer than what we would serve for our sewer policy.
Josie, is the roads, is the subdivisions, that the city would.
They have to be designed to county road specs as well. Yes.
Because I know that's a big thing.
And I do want to make a note, a lot of this information of working with the city and, or protections for the urban growth boundary is written in your current plan. All of this is, I just want to see it transferred to the new plan because I have not seen that in the document and it may just be in Appendix A because I have not seen a copy of Appendix A. I don't know if that's been released to the public. I have seen some of your zoning recommendations, but it's nothing to do with the city. So that's what I'm here to do, to kind of add that, what you already have into the new document as well, and make sure that that happens. And hopefully, we can actually get together and coordinate like it was intended to do so 20 years ago, and they never did.
And I'll say this, and some of this is for our new director. In the past, in this area, for a zoning change, they've come to us.
Yes, it's not been the proper procedure.
And we've been advised to just keep operating as normal, but we're gonna
But
stop that.
technically those, and the issue then becomes, those zonings are technically illegal. So, I mean, if there was ever an issue, it was the wrong procedure. I mean.
So I feel pretty confident that we'll get on the same page. All that makes sense. I mean, it's there. I mean, we probably need to have some discussions because it's, it's lot size. You brought up the sewer, probably a lot of the questions if Centerville can handle the.
Right, and we are getting to a point, I know that there's been a moratorium, and I'm not over the sewer districts, so don't shoot the messenger, but we are getting close to a point where that is going to resolve itself, and TDEC will hopefully lift that moratorium. I'm not gonna put a timeline on that because I don't know, and I don't wanna be told who said this. But yes, we hope that when we do get to that point where we lift the moratorium, that we can expand infrastructure, and then hopefully if a property owner does want to be in the city and does want city services, they can come before the legislative body, because that's the process you have to do, and say, hey, we want to be annexed into the city, and the city will be able to provide that and expand that infrastructure. But if you go in and put sewer systems on 1 acre lots and develop subdivisions in these areas, it just doesn't make sense for us to develop the sewer in that area, because at that point, it becomes, underutilized, and the money's just not gonna be there to bring the sewer to those areas. The whole point of this goal is for that property to at one point be annexed. And so we want to protect that area as far as you guys are concerned, and let us develop that area for our plan. I'm not asking for anything extra, just what we already have the planning authority to decide and work together with you guys.
Well, the RR2 is our densest.
Yes, and it is still bigger than our, yes, which is where it comes.
I'm just thinking on how to do this I wouldn't want a situation where R2 means something different in the urban growth boundary than it does in the planned growth area at the other end of the county.
Right.
So what's the Drew's here, what's the possibility of developing something unique just for the urban growth? Call it urban one.
You can put it in there as specific, much like you have the other one, the R2, I believe, specific to only the planned growth area. This one could be specific to the urban growth boundary, so they couldn't even apply for the zoning, even if you called it R3. They couldn't even apply for it if they didn't fall within that urban growth boundary, much like they can't apply for the R2 unless they are in that planned growth area. The difference is the urban growth boundary is the cities, and the planned growth area is for the county, but they're essentially kind of the same. But you could create a unique set of zoning districts and label them however you like. And they could align with ours, you could use ours, or we could create some new ones as well.
I'm just trying to think how going forward it'd be the simplest.
I think personally, if you would like my opinion on the easiest way to do that would be to, when we get into our growth plan, have us write some new districts descriptions and recommend it to the county commission for you guys to adopt, and let us do the legwork on that and spend the money on that and say, hey, and then you can tweak it when you get to this point. Or you could create them yourselves, yeah, either way.
I'd rather y'all do it.
Yeah.
We did it, it's kinda
Right.
like buying
we
my
like
wife
to do
a
it
car,
too.
that's never gonna work out good.
Right, and I mean, it would be something that the city would, it would be unique to us, so we could totally undergo that. We just would like your consideration at this time while you're doing your zoning district. But I also would like to say, if currently, before we do that, you allow for those 1 acre subdivisions in that area, that yellow area, it really should be looked at in the way that your previous document has as royal land and should remain largely undeveloped until the city decides to develop it per Centerville's policy. So that is going to create an issue if you leave that area within your suburban district right now, and that's why I'm here. Hopefully you can maybe color that in green or create a whole new area for it, or just leave it out completely. Well, you can't leave it out completely because you do still have the zoning authority over it until we annex it, but do something different.
Jesse, when are y'all gonna start on yours?
We haven't got a deadline on it. We've still got to go after the grants. That's why I said within the next 1 to 2 years.
Gotcha.
We just finished our budget season this year, so we're going to try to work it into next budget. But of course, there's an election, and we'll have a different mayor, so that's going to come into play as well.
Sure. Anybody else?
Claude,
Yeah.
if I may.
Sure.
Yeah, Josie, the intent is certainly not to create headaches or conflict at all. So Claude, I might recommend that maybe Josie and Austin kind of talk to our team, and then we can, when we come back next time, present the preferred resolution to the
Okay.
issue, if that works for
Yeah,
everybody.
that's good. Thanks, me.
But so everybody's clear that no matter what comes out of that meeting, and that doesn't sound like a bad idea, do you think the town is gonna start living up to their side of this obligation on a regular basis? Because I don't wanna make those
I
decisions.
cannot speak for any other department or elected official, so I want to make that clear. But I worked in the planning and zoning office for Hickman County for 6 years. A lot of you guys know that. So I know a lot of you guys' regulations. I came over to the city. I know the cities. So I'm experienced in both, and I would much like to work together in the future. I mean, now I will say, if we create a land use plan, and if you guys create a land use plan, and we both adopt each other's, that becomes law. We don't have an option to not work with you at that point. But right now, say you create this land use plan and we don't want anything to do with it because it doesn't match, you would have to send it to our legislative body and they would have to vote it through, yes, we're going to follow it, for us to even follow it anyways. So
I'm thinking of the individuals, you're thinking the overall deal, and I'm thinking on
individuals as far as
somebody comes in and asks for the zoning change. The town of Centerville will need to weigh in on that.
we have to. It comes to our planning commission. Instead of coming to your planning commission and you guys recommending it or not recommending it, it should come to the Centerville Municipal Regional Planning Commission and us recommend it or not recommend it to y'all. Now, you do have the
Down to
final
the
say
county commission.
to the county commission based off of the county's zoning ordinance
Correct.
and the county's road standards. So it gets confusing, but, and you guys could say, we don't want it, no, whatever. It just makes things a whole lot harder at that point if we don't want to work together.
And your subdivision regs are
Our
gonna,
subdivision regs go with it anyways, regardless. Every subdivision comes through Centerville's planning commission. However, like I said, we have to go by your minimum lot standards, so it creates issues at that point. So y'all don't have any say over the subdivision regs. We just have to develop it per your county zoning ordinance, as long as it is still county property and not annexed.
Yeah, everything we're talking about right now is outside the city limits.
Within the urban growth
But
zone,
within orange.
in that orange area. And there used to be a donut hole in it, but there's not anymore. It's all together.
How did it disappear? It was there when we did ours, when we developed this blue corner up here,
How did what disappear?
the donut hole.
Oh, I have the document to prove that, or to show you.
I know it's
Yeah.
gone, but that,
It, when y'all, hang on, let me find it. I'll show you exactly how it disappeared. Cause this is the whole document that they have for our whole growth plan. When they amended the original growth plan, which, remember, our original growth plan was done in 2006. It was just the urban growth boundary. So when they amended it later, they added the blue area. So when they added that blue area, they also disappeared the donut hole. But there's a document in here that states what was amended. Yeah, sorry for the language there, but here. It tells you the addition to the planned growth area, this is what it amended. It added Centerville's planned growth area, which was that donut hole you saw, and then it added Hickman County's entire square. So that's, the original map looked like this. This was the original growth plan. And there's the donut hole that you're talking about. And when they changed it, they took that donut hole out and they added the blue area on the map. This is the growth plan. This is the growth plan. And you think that there's documents to go with it, it's not. It's this and then this back. That is the land use plan. So your document's not actually changing the growth area because you have to call the coordinating committee back together. It's just a document that you can use together.
I was just trying to get straight in my mind when that donut hole.
Yeah,
disappeared.
2006 or 2006. It says on the top of the maps right here.
So when we did the blue corner,
Yes,
the same action
Yep.
took care of the donut hole.
Same time.
Cause that was an embarrassment anytime anybody.
Yes, it was very, but anyways, that is, all I'm here asking. Hopefully we can get forward on the right foot and you and y'all's planning commission and our planning commission can work together the way that it was intended to be. Because in your document, it says that that's what was supposed to happen and outlines the issues that were, even 20 years ago, they're the same issues. Because they never really did what was recommended.
Well, elections do change things, planning commissions change, people change, but no, I think we need to. Any other questions from Ms. Peters?
I would like to say just one more thing. I'm gonna take off my city hat and put on my citizen hat. I would like to say, there was a lot of people upset about the 5 acres. If you look at your current land use plan, like you quoted, there is a family subdivision exemption for that. And they actually recommended that to be done back then too. So you might wanna take a look at it. It's on towards the end of this book. That might be a solution to you guys' issues with that. But that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time. And I look forward to trying to work together with you guys.
All right, moving on, we're getting closer. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting closer. E, Resolution 25-23, and I probably am not the expert to speak on this, but there was weight requirements on vehicles to be used. Well, y'all can read the resolution through there, but what this basically is going to do, this has to do with the home occupations. This is going to give the BZA, it's going to be up to them, and they're going to have to ask more questions, but it's going to put more on them. Mr. Nash.
So several months ago, this body debated it and passed it. The county court debated it and passed it, and we were trying to broaden some of the opportunities in A1 for these home occupancy type businesses. And so again, the BZA just kind of opened the window up for them to evaluate some things. What we found out was there was some specific weight requirements that were stated, and so that that eclipsed some things just like the square footage would, or just like the number of family employees would. So, and so I went back and looked at this, and what we've done is we've taken out the sentences and the references to some gross vehicle weight. Because even that gross vehicle weight may work perfectly on one road, but it would be ridiculous on another road. Now, and I'm gonna use this as my example. In my district, there's a road called New Hope Road. New Hope Road to the north of Highway 100 is a 50-foot Class A, Code A asphalt road. You could probably put any home business you want up through there. It's not gonna be a big deal. New Hope Road to the south of Highway 100 is a dirt road, a D road, with a 16-foot right-of-way. Probably shouldn't want to put any home occupancy business on that, irregardless of the weight. So what we did is we took out that referencing to weight and that sort of thing, and we injected this statement that said the Board of Zoning Appeals shall determine that the current roads providing access to the home occupation shall be of sufficient classification, construction, and right-of-way. That way, the BZA, which is there to make these judgment calls, they haven't got pigeonholed because of, again, I think it was 11,000 pounds. I can't remember what it was, but 11,000 pounds may be good on some roads, but it would, even that classification would not be right. So this just gives that BZA more wiggle room to make the decisions based on the specifics of the application that they're considering. And I encourage you to vote for this and send it to the County Commission for them to take on.
Okay, discussion. All righty then.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Boone and Maddox. There's several. All right, we can have a vote, please, ma'am.
William Mayberry,
Yes.
Jeff Church,
Yes.
Tony Taylor,
Yes.
Tommy Cax,
Yes.
Danny Clark,
Yes.
Eddie Boone,
Yes.
Bill Lane,
Yes.
Jason Carter,
Yes.
Todd Calcott,
Yes.
Keith Nash,
Yes.
Andy Max.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change vote? 11 yes? Okay, we'll move on to the County Commission. Okay, is there any more new business? Okay, next up is Chairperson, Director, and Planner reports. The only thing that I have is I want to make sure, because it's been a long night, that we get everything taken care of. And I'm going to start from the back and go to the front. If we can make sure this resolution gets to, on the agenda for the County Commission meeting in July, it'll have its first hearing, reading there. So maybe if the mayor's assistant help make sure that gets done, appreciate that. The next thing is, the latest draft of the land use plan. If we can make sure that that goes on the website.
And the appendix as well?
No, the appendix has got, it's got it, it's got to be worked on. It's our new director and planner, Grisham Smith, are gonna go through and iron out the holes in that one before we see that one. So, am I missing something? Y'all help me with this. Am I missing something that needs to be put on the website or needs to go? Okay. All right. We wish our new director a very educational first month. So, welcome to the fun. I guess that's it. Amanda, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Austin, do you have anything?
I do not have anything.
It's amazing how everybody gets a little quiet around 9/11. So, we didn't hit 11 o'clock, I'm a little disappointed. Oh, hey, hold on a minute. I'm not going to motion to adjourn.
I second.
Second, we're adjourned. Thank y'all.
We're adjourned. We're done. You're welcome. Going down.
Adjourned? Boone and Caps, as they're walking out.
As they were walking out, as they were walking out the door.